The Progress Application Server for OpenEdge is an efficient, scalable, secure, and standards-based application server for OpenEdge applications. This video introduces you to PaaS for OpenEdge and helps you understand its role in the OpenEdge environment. PaaS for OpenEdge enables you to access your business logic on a variety of clients including ABL, .NET, GUI, web, mobile, and Java clients. Apache Tomcat updates ensure compliance with industry standard Spring security and allow configurations using properties files. Let's take a look at the components of a PaaS for OpenEdge instance. An instance includes the following: an Apache Tomcat web server for hosting static content as well as ABL applications. Clients interact with your ABL server code hosted on the instance using transports. Transports translate HTTP messages into requests that can be executed in ABL business applications. Transports are a part of the ABL web application which expose ABL application logic via HTTP. The client requests initiate an ABL application session in the session manager. The session manager then distributes those client requests to the underlying multi-session agent to ensure efficient use of your server resources. The multi-session agent pools ABL sessions that execute ABL business logic on behalf of clients. Also inside of the ABL application are the configuration files that connect the application and instance to the OpenEdge database. Why don't we follow a typical client request to access business logic on a PaaS for OpenEdge instance and see how the instance serves that request? That way we can view the PaaS for OpenEdge components in action. Let's start by taking a look at the expected output of the requested data from the server. We're going to make a client request using the web transport and a progress data object which returns data from an OpenEdge database in JSON format. ABL service developers can use Progress Developer Studio to quickly generate a web service that provides client access to a business application which can return data to the client. Developers can package these web services and applications as WAR files for easy deployment to PaaS for OpenEdge instances. WAR files define authentication, authorization, and the ability to separate client types for your application. System administrators and DevOps engineers can use OpenEdge management or OpenEdge command line tools such as PaaSman to create development or production instances of PaaS for OpenEdge. Administrators and DevOps engineers can deploy WAR files to staging and production instances and are then responsible for securing, testing, tuning, load balancing, and monitoring the instances. After a web service is deployed to an instance, a client makes a request to a web application or service hosted on a PaaS for OpenEdge instance via HTTP. The instance is called in a browser via its hostname and port, which are set during instance creation. When we dive into the instance, we see where the code lives. An ABL application is where the business logic is hosted and run via the instance pro path. In our example, the ABL application is called Point of Sale. An ABL application is a wrapper for an ABL web application, which is derived from oeabl.war, which hosts the transports, Spring security, and services to access and run the ABL code on the ABL application. The web application in our example is called POS for a point of sale application. There is no direct URI to the ABL application. Instead, the URI access point into the ABL application is provided by the transports, which are packaged into the ABL web application. The OpenEdge ABL web application is a type of Java web application that contains one or more transport-based services, which represent the API used to access the ABL application. The transport is a part of the ABL service. ABL services are exposed via URI and grouped by transport, which is a path segment in the URI. In our example, we have enabled the web transport to provide a RESTful ABL service on the instance. The web transport is the recommended way to develop REST services. It supports all HTTP verbs and content types. When you create a web service in Progress Developer Studio and deploy it to the instance using OpenEdge Management or PaaSman, you can access the instance URI in a web browser to see the data that is returned. In this video, we learned about the components of a PaaS for OpenEdge instance and how you can access business logic and application services via a web browser. For more information, including videos, tutorials, and documentation, see docs.progress.com.